Redding is a beautiful place. We have national parks in 3 different directions, 2 world-class lakes. This is a sportsman's paradise, but it's also full of wonderful people. We have business leaders, community leaders, faith-based leaders, all of them working towards a singular goal, and that's to make this a great place to live. I wanted to showcase these people, give their perception of the place that they call home. This is allredding.
Okay, so I'm here with Chris Cable, and I was looking at your bio. So we've never met. And the board has a group of we like to bring entrepreneurs on, local business owners, faith-based leaders, things like that. People engaged in the community, and they gave me like a bunch of things that you're involved in. I was like, this is one person. Yeah. This person owns a business. He's involved with 2 major mentoring organizations. Mm-hmm. We were kind of talking off camera. We started the Anderson Cottonwood Christian Association.
Assistance.
I'm struggling. I said alliance before. Like, yeah. For some reason, that last A keeps blocking.
It's just assistance, like a soup kitchen. Yeah.
And it's through the churches, right?
Yeah. A lot of the board members, there's like one from every church in Anderson Cottonwood that, show up.
What do they do? Is it like the outreach for who?
I'm still learning. Okay. I only went to 1 board meeting, so that's my next board that I'm hoping to get on, see if we can make a difference there. But I don't know where they get their food, most likely from the community, and then they have people sign up, and then they hand out, boxed lunches and dinners, and it's kind of crazy.
Do you know who their target, like, is it homeless, or is it families, low income?
Low income, yeah.
Okay. That's awesome that people are doing that. I didn't know that existed, and I'm sure there's probably several of those around that you just...
There could be.
If
this one's just on my radar, so here I am.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you're a husband.
Yes.
And you're a father.
Yes.
And you helped facilitate goat yoga. That was the...
Oh, gosh, that was once.
That's once more than me.
It was during COVID, and a yoga friend of mine, she saw we had baby goats, because I'm also a farmer, and so she came out to our farm and... try to get the baby goats to jump on her while she was doing yoga.
Did it work?
I don't know. No? I can't remember.
Are they like pygmy goats, or they become the big ones?
They're actually La Manchas, so we use them for dairy goats.
Oh,
so
really?
My wife milks them, yeah.
And you guys, like, just for the family?
Well, yeah, my wife has a lot of food allergies, so that's why we have a farm. We grow all of our own food.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Like, when you say all of your own food?
Like, we have a greenhouse. She goes out there and picks a salad every night. My garden's twice the square footage of my house. And we have cattle, pigs, dairy goats. We raise chickens for meat, chickens for eggs. Yeah,
how many acres you got?
5.
How long you been doing that?
12 years.
How many hours do you get in a day? How do you pull this off, man?
I sleep about 5 or 6 hours a night. So,
okay.
Is that enough?
I don't. Not for me. I'm a 8+ hour guy.
I wish.
If I don't get, I know that we're different, right?
Right.
Physically different. So you've had a farm. You have a farm. Mm-hmm. You have 2 kids.
2 kids. Yep.
They're growing up on the farm?
Yeah, I wish we would have known we were going to have a farm. We would have had like 8 kids, because it's a lot of work. They're all moved out now. My son moved on to the Marine Corps. He just got home.
Semper Fi. Please tell him I said former Marine.
Real deal. Yeah, he works for me now, so he moved back. Yeah, so he got married, bought a house. He's settled down. My daughter's 19. She just moved out, and she works at Sierra Gibbs.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, she's a student at Shasta College.
My daughters are 19 and 17, and the 19-year-old went off to St. Mary's, and the 17-year-old is at Shasta College.
Oh, there you go.
Works at the YMCA.
Oh, nice.
As a lifeguard. I just outed her.
Oh, nice.
So I want to go back to the goats.
Yeah.
I don't know if goat cheese, goat milk, that's like a non-allergy thing? Is it? Like...
Yeah. No, she raises all the goats for their milk, and that's what she consumes. She puts it in a lot of her recipes. We freeze it when we can, so we have a freezer full when the goats aren't in milk. Just this year we got a buck, so now our goats are all pregnant, and they will be pregnant round the year, so it's kind of nice. Wow. But yeah, she does make cheese, she makes soap, and she just cooks with it. So it's a little better than having a dairy cow.
Why? Is that like a common thing that people are... I know a lot of people are lactose intolerant, but I would think lactose would be in goat milk
Yeah,
too.
she's not really lactose intolerant. It's just something that agrees with her body because of her food allergies.
So. So the best milk I've ever had, I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And it was during the Gulf War, and we were off the coast of Oman, and they do something where they will get jet fuel in the water lines. They use some kind of the pipes, and they turn it off, and I don't know, but it happened multiple times, and one time it happened really bad, and so for multiple days, all the water we drank, cooked with, showered with had this like fuel and it reeked. Yes, that's as bad as you can imagine. Okay.
Yeah.
So every now and then it would happen, but it would last for a few hours. But this one was something really bad happening in a couple of days. And so we're drinking powdered milk that's made with water and like some fuel in it.
Yeah.
And it's as bad as it, like when you, the water faucet, like fumes would come out. And so I was friends with the cooks. And in the middle of the night, we got like a replenishment ship comes up in the middle of the night and they woke me up. And I had a TV with a VCR at the bottom. Remember those?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I had that. So they wanted to watch a movie. So they had made brownies and got goat milk. And I remember like, this is the best milk I ever had. But I wondered like, well, that's what happens when you drink jet fuel powdered milk for a few days. They could have given you crocodile milk and you'd been, this is the best milk I've ever had.
Wow. Okay.
But maybe goat milk is just...
I don't like goat milk personally. It tastes a little sweaty when it's, pretty fresh like that. But she has a trick where she takes it from the bucket and she'll put it in the freezer for about 10 minutes. And then she strains it and that takes the goaty flavor out of it. And it works. So I tell her, I'll drink a glass if you pour it for me. And it's sitting there. And if it tastes goaty, I just pass it right back. Like, no, it just tastes sweaty. It's gross. But
man, you are not. Yeah, I was thinking, I'll try some goat milk. Nah, not so much now.
No.
But when you're that close to the tap, so
yeah, exactly.
you're a business owner. You have Caliber
Office furniture.
Yeah. And you were in the furniture business in the late 90s. You were doing like sales and...
Yeah, I've been doing this for 28 years. I started as just an installer. I was making $8 an hour thinking that was great money back then.
Probably was.
And it wasn't bad. And then got laid off. They just had too many guys and I was the low guy in the totem pole. And then I went into satellite industry. So I did sales there for about 2 or 3 years while I was...
But like Dish?
Yeah, it was DirecTV.
Okay, DirecTV.
Yeah. So I was their Northern California rep, but I was also installing furniture like as a 1099 on the side. So I never really got out of it. And then that career ended, and then I went right back into it in 2000, and then that's when my son was born, and I've been in it ever since. I put myself through college through Simpson, got a business degree. I went into sales with furniture, and now here I am with my own business.
So I want to go back a minute. So your son's born in 2000.
Yeah.
So I do the math. He's 24.
He'll be 24 in June.
You don't look old enough to
Thanks.
have 24. I think you started young.
I'm going to be 50 this year.
Were your parents entrepreneurs? Like you're kind of a hustler. Then you said like, well, I had a day job, but I was 1099 doing this, that. The word that went in my head was hustle.
Yeah.
Right? And people either kind of have it or don't. Was family entrepreneurs or?
The furniture industry is just so much fun. For me, it's like putting together giant Legos. And that's what we were doing, putting panel systems together. And back then it paid really good too, as 1099. But no, they weren't. My dad was a firefighter with CAL FIRE. He retired about 15 years ago, maybe.
Good for him.
My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and now she's a quilter. She lives in the Redding area. So she actually makes quilts for a lot of the pregnancy centers and shelters and wherever else she can do. So
that's where all your volunteer work comes from. Your mom and
my whole family is kind of that way. Yeah,
very nice. Are you an only child or?
No. I have a younger brother. He has a salsa business here in town called Mark's Salsa.
Really?
Yeah, and my sister's 8 years younger, and she lives back east somewhere, Missouri, I think.
So what sparked you to start your own business?
I was kind of thrown into it. The economy was kind of circling the drain with the company I was working at. And when I started Caliber, I was working in a closet, basically, is how I started. And I just slowly grew into, this career. And I couldn't bite off more than I could chew. So I just started real small. I didn't have a showroom. My philosophy was Redding is my showroom. I'd been doing sales already for about 5 years, so I already had clientele. My clients were actually begging me to start my own business. So that's what we did.
What was going on with the main business that you said it's kind of circled? It must not have been the economy and it circled.
It was like in 2008, so things just weren't doing too good.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so I didn't really want to change careers. I thought about it for about 2 seconds. A friend of mine actually took me under his wing, and he said, "You're going to start a business." And I said, "I don't know anything about it." He actually took me down to Sacramento. We applied for the LLC right then and there. I got a line of credit through a HELOC, and the rest was history.
In 2008?
No, that was 2010.
2010.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that was a hard time to get a loan, man.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we had a lot of equity already built up, so it was kind of good.
And now how big is it?
Our business?
Yes. Like, I mean, how many employees? Because not just you anymore.
No, I got about 6 or 7. I think 6. Yeah, 6 right now. We're growing like crazy. We just had a couple guys leave. Like my son wants to move on to become a firefighter. So I said, stay put until I can replace the guys in the warehouse. So as soon as we can get the right guys in the warehouse, he's bouncing out. But yeah, about 6 or 7. I have a sales guy that's been with me about 8 years. His name's Dylan, and he's amazing. So I take care of him like my new son. So
Very nice.
Yeah.
Your son going to stay local?
Yeah, he bought a house, and his wife just got a new job here working at Prestige Urgent Care. So she's
They're set.
she's going to stay for a while too. So.
Are you born and raised here?
Nope, I was born in Fontana, California, raised in Blythe for about 12 years on the Colorado River. And then we moved to San Diego County, and I grew up there, did my high school years there. I came up here in 92 to go to Simpson College, and I was there for about 2 years.
I didn't realize Simpsons has been around that long.
I think they moved here in 89.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, before that, it was in the Bay Area, and all of my aunts and uncles, they were all attendees of Simpson, so it was like family tradition.
Oh, wow.
So it was my cousin and I, we just both decided, because we were the same age, we said, let's just go to Redding and try out the Simpson thing. I got married, he stayed in and graduated, so I bounced out.
But you went back.
I did.
Right?
I went back, and it was easier doing the degree completion program, the Aspire program.
Was it like at night or?
Yeah. It was kind of like I saved up all my cash just to pay for it all at once, and that way my brain was involved a little bit better. So.
Are you still active with? Because you're involved in some stuff. We'll get to it in a minute. But are you still? Do you have a connection to Simpson still?
I try. Yeah, they're one of my customers still.
Okay.
One of my good friends still works there, and he calls on us to furnish stuff, when we can. We do like a nonprofit discount, so we just did a pretty big sale for them for the athletic department, and I guess they really liked what we did for them because they want to put my name on their furniture. So,
Nice.
I know.
I heard a story about you about somebody. It was like a nonprofit or something, and they said, "Oh, we've only got this small budget for furniture," and you're like, "That's not enough." But you know what? I'm going to hook you up and give you some furniture.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us
Which one was it?
So you've done it more than once?
I don't know.
That's good stuff, man. That's tithing, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Helping out,
Yeah.
helping the community.
Yeah, we give recklessly.
Good.
Yeah.
And it comes back though, right?
It does. That's kind of one of my philosophies. If you take care of your community, it'll take care of you.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you're involved in. I wore my Catalyst T-shirt.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yes.
This was. I was like, I've got a Catalyst. I got to wear it today. So you're involved in Catalyst mentoring.
Yep. I do that every Tuesday at lunchtime. So
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I got invited to their golf tournament, which was a fundraiser, 5 or 6 years ago. And I showed up and I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't even have good golf clubs at the time. And a friend of mine pulled me aside and said, I'm giving you my golf clubs if you promise to take lessons. I'm like, sure. So I got into golfing, and then I showed up next year knowing a little bit more how to golf. And it was the same fundraiser. And giving the money was the easy part. And it's like, I'm being a sponsor. I'm buying their gift baskets that they have. And then later I'm hearing one of their speakers, it was Aaron Hayes.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he is. And he was involved with it heavily then. And he was saying, you should become a mentor. And I'm like, oh, yeah, the money's the easy part. I should give my time and be a mentor. So I jumped through all the hoops. It took me like 3 months to go through everything because you have to get fingerprinted and you got to take these tests, but you got to watch these videos. And if you don't pay attention to the video, you fail the test. So it's like you actually had to be involved. And I was glad I did because it gave you information on how to interact with these students that you're involved with. So then they quickly tossed me in. I was at Pacheco Elementary for about 2 years. And man, it was a blast. It's like you show up, they have a school mentor. You don't even have to prepare anything. All you do is show up. And then you're playing games with these kids. You're breaking through these barriers. And once you break through, then it's just action just starts happening. Like they start breaking down and they tell you their stories and, stuff that I can't talk about right now. But
Sure,
it's a lot of fun just, breaking them down and making that trust happen between them.
Is this what is like the main goal with the mentoring? Is it just to be a soundboard for them, kind of help them be a guide? Or is there like...
I think for most of them, they have kind of I want to say like maybe a little bit of a rough background if they have anything in common. Maybe their home life's not the greatest. Maybe their father figures, not really in the picture. And I'll tell you one of the stories. I had this one kid who was kind of my most troublesome kid. Whenever he shows up, there's just dysfunction, and it just made it a little rough. And they said at the very end of my 2 years of being at this one school, they said, "Hey, I want you to know that this." I don't want to say his name.
Sure.
He actually started an Uno club. Like, we're playing cards. And I'm like, "An Uno club? That's like the game Uno?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "A club?" And they said, "Yeah." Instead of beating up and bullying kids at recess, he started a club, and now there's like 25 kids playing Uno. And it's because of, and they said, "Why are you doing this?" And they said, "Because that's what Chris taught me how to do." I'm like, what?
That's awesome.
So
man.
this kid, like, he's not a bully anymore. He wants to hang out and play cards. So it's like, no way. And this is coming from the school counselor. She's telling all this. So I was like, that's kind of cool.
So, you know, the takeaway, I mean, there's a bunch, but like two of them is that the kids just need, they
do.
I think a lot of people think, well, I can't do that. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a this, I'm not a that. And it's like, you know, if you can just show up and give a little bit of attention, a little bit of energy, play Uno.
That's it.
You know what I mean? And when you were talking about that, one of the things I think about is you hear all the time the statistics of people in the prison system and how many of them grew up in a fatherless environment.
Yeah.
And it's like high 70s or mid 70s. It's very indicative of people that go into some bad life choices. There is no father in the home.
Right.
And that to me is a pandemic in America that we're dealing with. And so anybody that can get, especially I think males, I mean, anybody can do it. But when you say there's no father in the home, you're looking for a father figure.
Yeah. I know Catalyst Mentoring is a big proponent of just show up. They just want you to show up and be there. I'll tell you, for instance, I didn't show up one day. I was out of town, and I told the kids, I'm not going to be here next week. I'm going to be out of town on a work trip. Man, they let me have it for about 3 weeks after. They just wouldn't stop. "Oh, you decided to show up today." They remember that you didn't show up.
Yeah.
And even though I warned them. So now when I accidentally or intentionally have to leave, I show up with cookies from Crumble or something, and then they just go crazy. And then they're like expecting cookies every time. So I don't know if that was a good move.
You know, the first time I heard about Catalyst, I obviously heard through Aaron, but I heard about Aaron from Coach Todd Franklin.
Okay.
And he's somebody who's, I mean, he talk about, like you, involved in a lot of things, a lot of working with youth, a lot of activity. And it's been a while since I watched that episode, but he had similar type of things, like just show up, be good. You know, you don't, too many people think they have to be too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What do heroes look like? They're just the normal people doing normal stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but with like a giver's heart.
Yeah.
You know, and you're also involved in another organization called Girls Inc.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I can't be too involved there because it deals mostly with girls, but I'm just on the board. There's another guy that's on the board, and he and I are just, I'm like, I'll join if you join, kind of a thing. And basically I'm just trying to manage it, you know, from afar. But they provide like after school or during school events for girls in the middle schools. And I think junior high, I'm not sure. And they're sprinkled all throughout. And the director, I actually did leadership writing with her. So she's a dear friend of mine. So I just wanted to give her the support. And then the board president's a good friend of mine too. So they made me the vice chair of the board. But we're just helping that organization stay alive. We help with the fundraisers, and we're actually doing a bingo night on March 15th. So just trying to raise money wherever we can for them.
I was thinking, I'd never heard of Girls Inc., and so I did a little research. It's like it was started after the Civil War.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, wow, it goes way back. My wife was like, I think they do this thing where they have like these running programs. I don't know how familiar is she goes, I think that's Girls Inc. that does it. It's like Girls on the Run or something, and they get them all running.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, but there's physical activity, but they're trying to build, what's the right way to put it? Trying to build like self-confidence, self-esteem.
Yeah, exactly. And there's that too.
Yeah.
There's girls that, like we had our gala last year, the first time I went to one, and they actually had one of the guest speakers, one of the gals who was in our programs. And she was kind of like the black sheep, kind of in the corners. And now she's like this public speaker, and she's got all this confidence. And she was in front of a couple hundred people just speaking so eloquently. And we're like, wow, she went through our program? That's amazing. Today, in fact, we just did a park cleanup at Enterprise Park where they had a whole bunch of the girls and a whole bunch of the school liaisons that are some of our employees, you know, with them. So they're giving back to the community wherever they can too.
We got several, and it seems like there's a lot of organizations, and like just for example, I learned about 3 that you're dealing with, and I think Catalyst is Catalyst merging with another one, or there's something going on?
I heard they merged with Pathways to Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know much about what Pathways does yet. But yeah, I think that merger made sense because the director from Catalyst went to Pathways, and so they're just kind of floundering. So I think they just kind of said, let's just merge it together to
A logistics thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Bring it together.
I don't know much behind this, scenes on that because I'm not on the board there. I just like to mentor and
But if people want to get involved, reach out. And then you said you're a male, so I guess that with Girls Inc., it's pretty much women helping women or women helping young ladies.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so if you're a female and you want to help,
yeah,
you can do Catalyst or Girls Inc.
Yep. There's several people, they reach out to me. They're like, how can I help at Catalyst? And it's like, that's easy. I can show them there. But then they say, oh, they're all filled up. If they're filled up, I'll send them over to Girls Inc. for sure. Because I think they still need like adults helping to volunteer. So however that looks like.
What about finances? Are they?
Oh my goodness. Yes. That's amazing. So if you went into their website, you would see where you can give monthly, and it links to your, account and go from there.
And I'm no accountant, but I play one on TV.
Yeah.
No, I'm no accountant, but I think you can give a certain amount and get a tax break, right?
Yeah, there's exactly that too.
We'll need to reach out to our accountant and find out. So that's really awesome. Why Redding? You moved here to go to school and you just
stayed.
Is your wife from here? Did you meet your wife here?
She is. Yeah. I actually, it's a long story how we met, but I was at Simpson and I kind of rededicated my life to Christ during a chapel. Because I was showing up and I was kind of, off doing my own thing. And then all of a sudden God got a hold of me and shook me. So I snapped back into gear and like, oh my gosh, I got to do this the right way. And I started going to church again. So I said, I'm going to go to college group. So I went to this college group. It was at Neighborhood Church in Redding. And so I'm sitting in there. I'm like, all right, just focus on what the pastor's talking about. And I said, quick glance around the room. Ooh, she's hot. And ended up marrying her. So we met at church.
Hey, that's a great place to meet people.
Yeah.
We go to a Pathway, which I think was that the old neighborhood?
Yeah, that's
and is there another? I get the churches all mixed up. Was there another neighborhood that was up on Churn Creek, or is that?
No, so there's if there is one on Churn Creek, I don't know about it, but there's one in Anderson, Neighborhood Church in Anderson.
Okay, but is it still affiliated? I'm putting you on the spot, asking all kinds of stuff.
Ask away.
You're like, are you running everything? No, but is Pathway still? Because they changed the name from Neighborhood. Was that just a change?
That I don't know. I know they changed their name. I don't know much beyond that. So
we go to the Saturday evening service. I like it. Logistically, it's way better for us.
Good.
I mean, I don't know. We're just better evening people.
Yeah.
And it's great. And they were talking about, we've never been to the Sunday service, but they were thanking people and saying, hey, thank you for. I guess the pastor had said, hey, we're really booked on Sunday. Can some of you start going Saturday evening?
Yeah.
And they were talking about, and thank you for doing that. And they're already booked on Sunday. So it's a good service. My wife got us involved, and they have a bunch of programs for kids. Nice. And so we homeschool. And so my son started doing things. They do things with both Grace Baptist.
Okay.
They get like some programs. There's a tremendous infrastructure for people who want to homeschool. It's not like when you and I were young and homeschool.
Yeah.
It's not. And when I'll talk to people out of the area or just have a conversation, I'll say something like, our kids are homeschooled, and I say, hey, I have to go take them to this class. Like, what? I thought you said they were homeschooled. Mm-hmm. Well, they are, but we do this science program over here with this church organization, and this church organization has a physical education program. When my daughters were in high school, they would go to the high school on Saturday, and the high school teacher would teach biology and chemistry to a small little homeschool of which his kids were in it. So it's
nice.
The infrastructure. If you want to homeschool, you have a lot of options.
Yep, for sure. My kids are both homeschooled.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
And
so we get it.
So, yeah. It's, well, I one of my my vision board. I've got not super into it, but I'm trying to visualize. But one of it is, I told my wife, within 5 years, I'd like for us to live on a small farm.
There you go.
I would like to produce. You can tell by my hands that I've kind of sworn off physical labor, right? So she's like, well, so what are you going to, are you going to get out there and garden? So we have like a couple of fruit trees, and I usually do like a small tomato garden each year. So I started looking into aquaponics.
Oh, nice.
Right? With the fish and look at the systems. And I bought a couple of books that were like, hey, this is how to do it. Watch some of the videos. And I'm like, we even built a small one where we had, with the girls, as part of a science project, we did some lettuce and a couple of koi, and it was really small. We did like the little bacteria tank, and then
I've seen all that. Yeah,
it was about the size, honestly, of this table.
Yeah.
But we grew butterleaf lettuce, I think is what we did, just for fun.
Yeah.
And so when I say a farm, I'm thinking more of like maybe an orchard with some just what I want to consume. Like I wouldn't want to get too crazy, but I think about like the 12 things that we eat over and over.
Yeah.
And we get a cow each. We started getting a cow from a friend, Dr. Seaton, and he grass feeds and grass finishes. And then this morning, my wife was. We used to get the. I always mess up the name,
Duvenvorden.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah.
Duvenvorden milk, but they put out a thing saying, hey, if you guys want organic pigs,
Oh, nice.
we're gonna. So we put the deposit on. So we're really into that and trying to get more and more where everything's locally sourced.
Yeah.
It's organic. It's not because our food source is because of the push on production. There's a lot of compromises made in a food source.
Yep.
And so we live in a place, this is not, Manhattan. There's tons of space around here.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard for a guy saying that doesn't have one. It's not that hard to do like some small farming. It's got to start somewhere.
It's not. And we actually invite people out to our farm just to tour it because people just like you were saying, I want to start a farm. I'm just not quite sure how to do it. I didn't either. I have farming in my roots. I was in 4-H and FFA growing up. Nice. So I knew a little bit about how to do it. My grandfather owned a farm, so it's in my blood. We just kind of watched our neighbors on how to be a farmer. And now they've just kind of moved on. They're not doing too much with farming, but we stayed true to it. We raise about 75 to 50 chickens a year. And we'll buy them, we get them in the mail and they take about 6 weeks to get full grown. And then we have a butchering party. So we invite people over to see how chickens are processed. And then we just put them in freezer bags and freeze them. People actually call me up to say, hey, can you come help slaughter chickens with me? And I'll, go out there and show them. I won't do my own pigs and cows because, I can, but I choose to not because it's so much easier just to call someone and they can do it in an hour. Where for me, it's a whole day thing. But yeah, if you ever want to learn, I can show you how easy it is.
I'm going to take you up on that.
Yeah, just for 5 acres.
I've been watching, there's a ton of great YouTube videos of people that, it's really well documented, pretty cool. Some really amazing people.
Yeah.
Especially like, I don't know what the right title is, but some of these people that they'll go in the desert and they're like, hey, let me show you what I did in 5 years. And they have these video documentation.
Cool.
Where they're like, this is just, they're ecologists maybe or something.
Yeah.
But they build entire ecosystems and they're like, okay, we dammed up there's a couple of them out of Colorado and Arizona where, they literally take acreage that they show and they'll zoom out usually and all the acreage around it, it's desert.
Yeah.
It's like brush, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then here's this oasis sitting in the middle and they'll just talk about how they did it. And I was watching one yesterday where there's a famous guy, I can't remember his name. He's in a wheelchair and he did it.
Oh, my.
And I think he's in Arizona. And he was talking about, traditional farming is a little too, there's a lot of compromises made because they're just trying huge production. So he's talking about not turning the soil over, but just loosening it up. And he went through a bunch of stuff. Obviously, they're big into compost.
Yep.
Imagine
we are too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about farming for us, it's just you learn as you go, and that's what I want to teach people is don't make the mistakes we made. There's shortcuts on how to do it the right way the first time. We lost a lot of our agriculture and our livestock a couple years ago. ACID turned off our water.
That's right.
Yeah, and we were kind of downstream from all that. So like we lost all of our giant trees. I had to sell off more than half my herd. It was costing close to $30 a day just in feed. And I just couldn't sustain that when they were out there usually grazing. And then last summer we had water and I couldn't keep up with how much grass we had. It was 3 feet tall and 5 acres and I didn't have enough cows because I sold them all. So we had more than enough. So right now all of our heifers are pregnant and happy and yeah, we're growing it again. So we actually have a waiting list for people that like to buy our beef.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to get on that list.
Yeah.
We've been ramping it up, although my daughter's moved out, so maybe it was half cow, then we ordered a cow. And so we've all become like super carnivores. I was even a vegetarian for a while.
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy.
Oof.
And I know I made it about 7 or 8 months. And one day I was like, man, I'm craving a turkey and bacon sandwich.
Absolutely.
And once that happened, the veil was pierced. And then somehow we shifted into super carnivores. And we eat a lot. I can't believe how much beef we eat. Well, when you buy a cow and you have to buy a special freezer because it's like just and all different cuts. I mean, we're cooking all different kind of cool. The great thing is you get on the internet and there's a recipe for everything.
Yep.
And everybody's so happy to just show you like, hey, let me show you how to make this. And it's like, well, that's not that hard.
Yeah.
We live in good times, but you do have to be proactive. You do have to take control of your life.
Yeah.
And so when you're dealing with the farm, what is like I'm thinking the big things for me, which you just said, big one's going to be controlling water.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
And that's not just here, that's everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. Is the Anderson Cottonwood irrigation ditch back on and running?
Yeah, I think it's up and running now. They got a new board from what I understand, and the water's flowing again, and hopefully that's not going to happen again. What's funny is we're not even customers of ACID. Our lot is set so that we get runoff from our neighbors that are customers, but we were still affected, by it because our farm required that water to replenish our groundwater, which, we have a well.
Yeah, of course.
And if that water's not being recharged into the ground, it's not recharging our well. So we're like, how deep is our well? Are we going to run out? So we're like trying not to flush toilets too much, trying not to water the grass. We let our grass die. We just had to just let stuff go. It was kind of tough watching others like water away like it's an endless resource. And we're like, oh, well, whatever. It's just...
Well, it was. I can't remember when it was. It's been a few years, but I felt like California said, "Hey, we're in a drought."
Yeah.
I think they told people like you should only water. Like I think they put something out where you can only water on these days.
Yeah, that could be.
Because we turned our water way, way down.
Yeah.
And our lawn looked like it. But I would drive around the neighborhood and there were several people where they were like,
Yeah.
So you get up in the morning at like 4:30 to go for a walk, and that's when they got their sprinklers running because they don't want, and
it's tough for us to not water because our front yard is about an acre and it's all orchard. So it's like you don't want to lose your trees at the same time. But they survived. We didn't lose any orchard trees.
It's been a little over 10 years. I got a wild hare and I went down to Wind Tour and I bought, peaches, nectarines, cherries, plums, apricots, apples and pears. And you can imagine how that turned out in the heat of Redding. Apples and pears, no bueno. But planted all of them. Had a few years ups and downs, and then most of them were grafted, and so like the fruit tree died, but the other part survived.
Yeah,
and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if I got the right ones. So all we've got 2 cherry trees and a peach tree left. We got that peach curl that.
Yeah, that happens.
I know, and it ravaged. But we had some good years there, and I've been threatening to replant them, but I was like, okay, I got to think about this. I think I got to go somewhere else, maybe.
It's all about your soil too. If you don't have the right soil, it's hard for trees to really take root. So
I'm down the garden track.
Oh,
so usually,
okay.
I know it's
you should be in good soil there then. Yeah.
Just about anything that hits the ground grows.
Yeah,
if you can water it. But like I said, I don't know what we had. Several of the trees died after a few years, and the peach curl every year dealt with that.
I've always had peach curl. I can't get away from it. So I don't know. There's some arborists that can tell you what to do with that. My uncle's really good at that, and he'll come over and he'll educate me, but applying it's a different thing. So
yeah, and we don't. I mean, we have what is it? It's industrial grade vinegar.
Okay.
That's our de-weeder. That's our weeder.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know what's great about when you're spreading that?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, man, I'm craving French fries. This has that weird French fry ketchup. For some reason, that smell triggers. But so we try it. So like, I remember some of the, at the time, they're like, oh, you can go buy this and spray it on the trees. And I was just like, I'm just not going to.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. You're like, that's not going to hurt. But I lean the other way.
Yeah.
I lean towards like, maybe the tree wasn't supposed to live.
Yeah, right. No, we don't use Roundup anywhere on our property.
No, that's super bad.
Yeah, we don't put any kind of hormones in our animals or anything. Nothing sprayed. It's all as organic as can be. So
does that make it a lot harder? I mean, does that make it a lot
we do a lot of weed pulling out there just to stay ahead of it. Critters happen. Moles, voles, gophers. You just can't get away from it. We have all kinds of critters out there. I've learned that skunks and possums are good because they eat ticks.
Yeah.
So if I catch them in my garden, I let them live. So and that's a product of me spending time at Turtle Bay, just being educated out there.
Do they have some programs for teaching?
Yeah, well, I do a fundraiser there called Caffeinate for a Cause every year, where we raise money for them, and I think we raise about $5,000 every year we do it. But during that, they actually have somebody come out with the animals, say, "Hey, we're bringing animals by each of the Dutch Bros that we're going to be doing this morning," and they'll say, "And this is the possum we're bringing, and the possum's really nice because they eat ticks. Don't ever kill them." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm never killing a possum again." Same with skunks. I was like, "This is great. I didn't know this."
Yeah, but skunks,
I know.
But possums, I mean, come and go. They're kind of freaky looking, and you're like, okay, you stay over there. But skunks, man, if you've never gotten close to a skunk, it's not a bad smell. It's you have a visceral reaction. It's like, oh, I'll just plug my nose. No, and when they you don't have to be close.
Yeah.
If they get even remotely like in a couple of doors down,
Yeah.
you can smell it, and if they get underneath your home, that's
Well,
really bad.
I was all happy that we bought our house or farm out in the country, So I was thinking, oh, I can shoot my gun out here because we're in the country. So I went out there. I was locking up the cat one night. I'm like, oh, there's a giant skunk in the yard. So I got my shotgun. And I went out there and just turned that thing inside out. And boy, was that a bad mistake. I was like, oh, the smell was, I'm digging the hole. I'm like, I should have dug the hole first. That smell was like on me for 2 weeks. I couldn't get it out of it. It was just in the air. So that's when I learned, do not shoot skunks again.
We the first house my wife and I bought, skunks got underneath, and it was an older home, and so they burrowed into the HVAC system.
Oh no!
Yeah, so it's about 4:00 in the morning in February, right? And my wife and I wake up. I mean, we come out of sleep like it's like whoa.
Yeah, because it just wakes you up.
Yeah, so we hired a guy, a skunk removal guy.
Yeah.
And I remember he used to come out with, he had taken those typical traps, but he had put duct tape or something to make it, the skunk, it's just like them going into the HVAC system,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
can't
yeah.
see in it, right? And I remember the funny thing is he used powder-coated jelly donuts.
Oh, nice.
He's like, oh yeah.
They love that?
Yeah, he's like,
Taking notes.
yeah, the Hostess. You remember the cheap Hostess powdered?
Yeah.
You've seen them.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, these. So it was $75 for every skunk he caught, and then he's like, this is him telling me, so I assume it was the truth. But he says, yeah, you have to kill him.
Oh.
And he goes, I have to kill these skunks. And he goes, because there's some law. He's like, they don't want somebody catching the skunk and then going and releasing it over and like, oh, I heard you, Ghostbusters style. Did you have a problem? You need me to show up and get rid of this? And so he said, it was $75. And I think he got 8 skunks out from underneath our house.
Yeah, sounds
that
right.
was a major bill. We were young, and this was over 20 years ago. I was like, whoa.
So you don't want to keep those under your house, though.
Oh, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. Like, if they're under your house, you're going to smell it.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. And then we have a Jack Russell Terrier, and he doesn't, his drive to destroy is greater than his like sense of like, no, brother, you need to back off and leave this. No, he's like, I'm just going to get it. But we don't have any, we had 2 Jack Russells. We had one and he passed away. Yeah. And when he passed away, the rats came. We immediately,
oh, no,
because we're close to the canal and we're close to the river, rats and mice and shrews just all of a sudden everywhere.
Yep.
So we got the second Jack Russell Terrier out of Round Mountain, and yeah, he's a ghost face killer.
Yeah, we got a barn cat. Our barn cat takes care of all that stuff. She'll come around it with a big critter in its jaw late at night. And we're like, good girl, drop it, go to bed.
So if people want to get involved, Catalyst.
Yeah, I mean, I can direct them the right place if they need to. I can tell them all about it, what it's like, how much of it's not that much time out of their schedule, really. It's 45 minutes during lunchtime for me once a week. And it's only during the school year, so summers you're off. So it's not that bad.
And if people want to get involved in Girls Inc., if you do a Google search for Girls Inc., you're going to go to their national level website, and I'm sure you.
Yeah, there's ways to get involved just financially. You can show up with all of our fundraisers that we do, and then if you're a female and you want to volunteer, I'm sure there's ways that they can take that as well.
And with the Anderson Cottonwood Christian, hold on, it's not alliance, not association. Assistance, man, it's a third. I was like, I wasn't going to pull it out. I knew it was letter A, but I'm like, I don't know why. But that is not.
I'm just learning about that one, but I know it's just in Anderson, and that's their location. I don't know if you went to their website, I'm sure they would take donations there, but I don't know where they get their food yet. So.
And do they need people probably too to deliver?
Volunteers? I know you could use volunteers there. Yeah. So
Are they connected? I'm putting you on the spot, asking you all these things. You're like, I told you.
I'll try.
Well, I think of the Good News Rescue Mission.
Yeah.
I would imagine that there's a lot of overlap there.
There could be.
There could be. It's just like these mentoring programs, like you said, hey, logistically, Pathway and Catalyst were both kind of doing the same thing. And
yeah, I think they're just running parallel to each other. They all have kind of their own different drive, but you know, the rescue mission's a place of shelter, you know, and it's faith-based. Anderson Cottonwood Christian Assistance that's faith-based as well. So, but you know, that's the other side of town, really. So, got rescue mission up in Redding, and they're down in Anderson.
I would imagine that coming together and for resources, especially, I would imagine there's a lot of grants out there, and being able to find people that can write and apply for grants, because it's a pretty arduous. I've been involved a couple of times, and it was like, man, it's a ton of paperwork and a ton of triplicate, and you got to word it just right. And that's why there are people that's their specialty.
That's what they do. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would imagine that just some of those resources, because I think there's a lot of money out there that probably never.
Yeah.
Because you hear about it a lot, like, oh yeah, there's funds that just nobody applied. So
yeah, all the boards I've been on, they've always had people that do the grant writing. And then we get the grants. Somehow they get the right people to search for these grants. So yeah, there's people that know what they're doing.
And I'm a big believer. I like the idea of give a man a fish versus teach a man to fish.
Sure.
That's one of the reasons why I love entrepreneurial stories.
Yeah.
I love people that start a business. I think from the outside, it can be very intimidating, but I've met so many people that started businesses that it's like, it doesn't have to be that hard. You said you had a business mentor, or at least he forced you to go down and get your LLC.
Yeah, he did. That friend, he just was, he believed in me. He saw that, you know, the potential that I could have. And man, he really held my hand to get me going in the right direction. And he's since moved on to the Philippines, and he's retired now, and he's just kind of unplugged, but we keep in touch every now and then. But yeah, he really is the one that kicked me down the road to get me started here. So
why did he just?
He and I were, we did leads together, like we shared leads together. Mm-hmm. So as soon as he saw that I was by chance going to step out and try something else, he's like, no, you're really good with furniture, stick with it. So he just took my hand and helped me. He says, I've started hundreds of businesses, maybe not hundreds, dozens. I don't know. So he knew what to do. I had no idea what to do. I would have never done this without him. So
I think we have there's an organization, there's got to be, is it like SMART or something? I think there's a couple local organizations that are designed to help people getting started with business.
If there is, I don't know of any. I don't know what SMART does really.
I don't either. I could be like, Joey, you're so far off. I think something resources or something like that. And then, like you said, you got a business degree from a local university.
I did, yeah. I mean, that helped a little bit, but you know what really helped my psyche was I had a business plan, because I went to them for help. I don't want to mention them because I don't want to badmouth them, but I said, this is my business plan. What do you think? And they said, you're never going to make it. I'm like,
wow.
Oh, darn. Well, I'm going to prove you wrong. And that was my mentality ever since. It's like, I hope I proved them wrong. So
did they give any insight as to why you wouldn't make it? It's like, no, you just won't make it.
Nope, they didn't. So
it's been way over 20 years, but I had, there was a couple of like business resource, I think it was one in Chico, and I look back on it, it was like, I think the people helping had never actually started a business. It's like, they were like, hold
That's
on
how I felt about this company.
Let me open this manual. It says here, you're going to want capital. Like, okay. And you're going to want sales.
Yeah.
But it was like, but your friend, this person who helped you, he'd dozens of businesses.
Yeah.
That's a good mentorship. If that's not something that's going on in Redding. I mean, is that what leadership Redding? There's like, isn't there a
leadership Redding? No, that was more of an opportunity to get to know the Redding area a little more, and the experience is amazing. I highly recommend, if you have the chance to go through leadership Redding, do it. You have to apply, and then they accept, I think, 40 people a year, and it's like 9 months or so is how long the program is. But that's just being thrown into a class with like-minded business leaders.
Okay.
And then you just have like a different topic once a month, because you only meet one day a month. and you're learning like healthcare one month, education the next month, or your local, like the Indian tribe stuff one month, and it just keeps going. I was a class of 2013, and it was one of the best times of being a business owner, just going through that class. Highly recommend it.
How long did you say? 9 months?
It's about 9 months. Yeah.
Once a month? That's not very long. It's
No.
an all-day affair?
Yeah, it's like one Thursday a month. So I kind of feel like I had the full-blown experience because they made me like their class speaker for our graduation. I was in charge of the class project because nobody else would step up. So I was...
What was the class project?
I put garden boxes in at One Safe Place.
Oh, very
So
nice.
it's kind of fun. It was actually called Women's Refuge back then. And then One Safe Place picked up about a year later. So the boxes are gone. They're no longer around. So it's okay.
Projects come and go, man.
Yeah.
No,
So
but-
it's what I knew. I was a farmer still. So it's like, I know what to do.
Speaking of farming, have you heard anything about a local garden? You know how those are popular in the bigger cities. I've wondered why one hasn't popped up around here.
Do they not have one?
Or what is that down there by
There's
the river?
Providence.
There's something down
Yeah.
there, but I never see humans down there. That's the odd thing. I've seen a lot of goats a few times, but
My wife and I, we
community garden.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. That was the word I was going for.
We looked at some gardens called Providence Garden. They're off of Railroad Avenue.
Okay.
And that was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And we were walking through it like, holy smokes, these guys really know how to garden. I don't know if it's still active. My brother, because of his salsa business, I think he purchases peppers from them really, really cheap, but it's locally grown peppers. And I think, yeah, they're down off of I-5 now, but I don't know too much about them.
I don't know where on Railroad, but there used to be a long time ago, there used to be a big nursery.
Oh,
down on
maybe
Railroad.
maybe they moved into that.
Talking like when I was in high school, but it was a pretty good sized nursery. I'm wondering if that's what they.
It could have been. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know of any other community gardens. I'm kind of shocked that one of them hasn't popped up.
I think there used to be one over by the Court Street Bridge next to the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing one like, is that a garden? Wow, that's like a city-run garden. I don't know. If it is, it's like an underground kind of, I don't know about it.
Well, there's also there's down there by the river, like you said, Court. It's kind of below where Caltrans is.
Yep.
There's a lot going on down there, but my wife and I'll walk through there. And like I said, I've never seen any humans.
Yeah.
There's multiple times we've gone down there and there's goats.
Yeah.
And they got a bunch of goats.
I didn't know that.
It's like they're there or they're not.
Yeah.
There's either like 50 goats or there's no goats.
Wow.
So I'm wondering if it's like a way station,
Yeah, I don't know.
where before they take the goats out and clear out, like
Yeah.
people rent them and clear. They're like, hey, come, I'll pay you to come.
That sounds fun if you can keep the goats contained.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I think the goats got out a couple of years ago and caused an accident.
Yeah, I think that got shut down. I think because they were considered shepherds, they had to stay there like 24/7.
Yeah.
And I think they got in trouble saying you can't do that. You can't work 24/7. And they shut the whole goat program down. That's just what I heard. I don't know. Kind of a bummer. I know.
But there's another garden, I think, is it Rother School? There's a big old garden, or it might be.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think when I drive by there, I feel like there's a big one there. And then there was another one. Is the school called Juniper? It's a little elementary school
That's
back
where,
there.
that's where I'm doing mentorship right now.
Okay, is there a garden there too?
I've seen one. It might be their own garden. I don't know.
I think I think it's very valuable to teach kids.
Yeah.
To grow their own food. I think it's really important. There's a lot of conversation about the current health of Americans and how much of that is our diet.
That's funny you say that. My wife's a school teacher at Stellar, and she's they have a garden there, and she's teaching these kids how to grow their own food.
And they've got acres. Stellar's down there off of South Bonneview, right? Yeah, they've got a lot of space.
So her and I are going to replace all the garden beds in a couple of weeks here against my will, but we're going to do it. And we're going to bring in fresh soil because what they have in there is just full of weeds. And so we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it our way and then show the kids how to do it. And they're going to see lots of produce. She had tons of produce, but somebody came through and like harvested everything right when it was ripe. And the kids were all excited to come into school and pick all of everything, and it was gone. I know. So we're going to have to make a cage or something for it now.
And there's a strawberry field right next to that too, isn't there?
Yeah.
It was like always.
That's probably owned by somebody, though.
Oh, I love hitting the strawberry. The two times when Haas is producing all the peaches.
Yeah.
Or if we are feeling like it, we drive down to like Las Molinas area and hit those on the side. I mean, you talk by the crates of white peaches and donut peaches. My mouth's filling full of spit.
Right?
Blackberries, strawberries. I think teaching kids how to grow food is super important. I also think like maybe revamping our education system a little and saying, hey, you know what? Trigonometry is pretty awesome, but being able to balance a checkbook and understanding how taxes work, like, could we put a little bit of effort into that?
Yeah.
Because none of that stuff's really kind of weird how our education systems, but
Yeah, I know.
I go, it's a rant, it's never going to be perfect.
That's the beauty of homeschooling. You can teach your kids that.
You get to, you really get a lot of leeway.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten, like I said, it's homeschool, but it's so supplemented with, there's so many programs.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, I think it's New Day Academy is the one that we go through. And my wife was really attracted to it because she got to pick her curriculum.
Oh, okay.
So she'd go to these curriculum fairs,
Yeah.
right? So you go in there and they're like, here's all the life science books. And it's basically vendors.
Yeah.
And, here's all your math. And so they're like, hey, you want to buy our book? You want to buy our book? And they would give them books and she would come home with the kids and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to go through these books, just like randomly, and you're going to tell me which one you like. And so they got to pick their life science book and they got to pick their math book and stuff like that.
That's great.
I think it helps with some ownership too. Because the kid's like, hey, you're the one that chose it.
Yeah.
You got to learn math.
That's
so
right.
Giving them multiple. We didn't do a lot of the, some of the new math stuff. We flirted with that just a little tiny bit. And right away was like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, like, it's so much easier than fractions. You just put a triangle inside of a circle and then you grab, and like, no. Four thirds. Yeah, divide.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like just inverse, and we're gonna learn the old school math. So I think we did good. Kids,
good job. Yeah, I was disconnected when it came to homeschooling. That was her job. I was selling furniture. So.
Oh, my wife's. I'm taking credit for stuff I didn't do. My wife did 99.9% of it.
Yeah, there you go.
I just witnessed it.
Yeah.
I'm giving a third party account of what I saw.
Well, thank goodness for our library. That new library that we have, that's where we lived with our kids during homeschooling sessions. So
always library books. My wife is big into the library.
So whenever they have a fundraiser, we're jumping on those.
It's a great resource.
Yeah, it's sad how much it's overrun with homelessness, but just you can't let the homelessness issue in this community ruin it for you. So,
and I don't know what the solution is for that. I don't
either.
know.
Yeah, I mean, we have our own approach to it, but we do it quietly. That's one thing that leadership writing kind of puts you through too. I don't want to give away too much of what they do, but they make you very aware of what it's like to be homeless. Like they I don't want to say too much.
Huh?
Yeah, no, they kind of like, here's what we're going to do. Give us all your money and keys and your phone and your wallet and try to put yourself in the shoes of what it's like to be homeless and ready to go. And it's like, where do you go? So you go to like CalWorks and you find out assistance and do you have a social security number? Great. What is it? You don't have it memorized? Too bad. Now what? And it's like, you got it. How do you get plugged back into the system? So it's teaching these other people that have never thought about that process, putting yourself in their shoes. Like, how are you going to get, up and off your feet on your own? It's tough, especially when you don't have a place to shower and you're afraid to go in and you're stinky and hungry, and that messes with you too. You didn't get a good night's sleep, and I don't know. It sucks.
I feel like we can solve this. Mm-hmm. I don't know why we're not putting more energy into it, because it's one of those topics that is constantly coming up.
Yeah.
People are constantly. It's not like I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
It's really in our face, and we're not. I mean, this is nothing like Los Angeles or San Francisco or any major city, Sacramento or anything like that. We're nothing like that. But you can definitely see it growing.
Yeah.
And it's weird how it seemed to come out of left field.
Yeah.
Like it really hit hard. I think around that 2008, 2010 time, it seemed like it ramped up, and then like another phase. I remember talking to a law enforcement agent years ago, and I don't remember the timeline because I'm at that age where like it all blends together.
Yeah, same.
Like I'm like, was that 2012? No, it's 2019. Like, close enough. You're off by 7 years. But I remember that there were methamphetamines was more prevalent, and you could tell people on methamphetamines are pretty aggressive. It's a different drug, and all of a sudden it seemed to like shift. And I remember saying something to a member of law enforcement saying like, man, it's different. And he said, well, they've changed the laws to get them off methamphetamines and get them on heroin. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you're not going to get them off drugs. So what we did was we cracked down really hard on methamphetamines. But if you have heroin, if you don't do, we leave you alone.
Yeah.
We're anything to do with meth, we're coming down on you and everybody around you, and we are not going to play this game because there's so much violence around methamphetamines, right? But their idea was like they'd thrown their hands up and said, look, we can't get them off drugs. We can't get drugs off the street, but maybe we can at least get them to something where they sleep and they're subdued versus, breaking into cars and stuff. Because that's the thing I noticed. It seemed like I didn't see the super aggressive, angry in the that kind of went away. This was more of the passive.
Yeah.
And that's what he said, and it's sad that's like, it feels like giving up.
Yeah.
But I can logically go like, well, we're not, the war on drugs, we lost. Drugs won. I just want to let you in on a little secret.
Yeah.
Drugs won.
Right.
We lost. So if we can at least get them to where they're not trying to stab people with screwdrivers or something like that, or break into windows. Because if it wasn't nailed down, it'd be gone in the morning.
Yeah.
Like if you had a gas can in the back of your truck, like just anything was gone.
Yeah.
And that seemed to just all of a sudden stop. And I was like, why? And that was part of that conversation. He's like, oh, well, because they don't hang out.
As a business owner, I don't see it calming down too much. My business was right in the middle of rutting basically, and I had to relocate just because I was right on the front door of the homeless camps. I was off of Technology Way, Progress Drive, but Breslauer a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
And man, it was gross.
Yeah.
Daily, we were just cleaning up piles of just everything. So I said to my landlord, I got to get out of here. So I moved out to Airport Road, and it slowly started to slow down. But we would still, if I left a truck outside, there goes my catalytic converter, there went my gas tank, there went the windows, where went the battery. I would be stripped down. My truck is stripped down. I'm like, what are these people getting?
That doesn't sound like homeless. That sounds like
it's not homelessness.
No, that's
tweakers. I don't know.
Yeah.
What they are, so it's like I had to start parking my rigs inside. If I didn't park them inside, it's going to get stripped. So and that's still the mentality to this day. So I'm actually looking to buy a building probably next year. I just got pre-qualified, and I was putting an offer in on one, and the real estate agent said, there's a lot of homeless issues here. And I was like, oh, then I don't want it. He says, Chris, don't let the homeless issues stop you from buying your dream location. You can deal with it. I'm like, you know what? You're right. I can do this. So it's like I pressed forward. The offer fell through because my landlord wouldn't let me out of my lease. But so I kind of have that mentality now. Like if there's homeless issues, we're going to address that. Maybe God put them in my path for a reason. So that's my take on it.
I feel like we can do something. I feel like we can do something compassionate. I feel like there must be, it's like I always feel like we're watching a chess game, but we can't see all the parts. Like the game is, that's why things don't make sense when you're like, wait, why would you do this? And then
I don't want to see all the parts.
Yeah, it's a little too much. But I feel like we could do something. I feel like we could help, and I don't know who. I'm not blaming anybody, but I feel like as a community, we put a lot more resources behind this than we think.
Yeah.
There's a lot. The cost of homeless and dealing with some stuff is, I don't think people are seeing the true price tag.
Yeah.
Our law enforcement, our emergency responders are inundated with this, and we pay for that. And I mean, it's definitely nothing like the Bay Area. Thank God. But it's a tax on retail. Yeah. It is. It's tough. You were talking about how, it's office furniture. They weren't coming in and stealing chairs.
No.
Probably because they were locked up. But
right.
But like there is a pressure there.
Yep.
And I feel like we could get together, and I was the other day thinking like, okay, I want to do something in the community. And I thought, I think maybe start picking up trash.
Yeah.
It sounds, I don't know, but just seeing it, it's like, because it's such a visual blight, and I think it kind of hurts your soul to see it. And so it's like, hey, we get the community. There's got to be, every now and then I see like the police will have like a big dump trailer, and there'll be several people, and they're picking up trash. They'll go in, and I've seen a few where they've gone down by the river and said, hey, look, we got X number of tons of trash that we got rid of. And so I'm like, I should probably reach out and find out. Hey, they probably could use another person.
I think they're cleaning up homeless camps when you see those too. They're
But
probably
that
full
is
of sleeping bags and tents and whatnot, just trying to relocate these folks, unfortunately. But I look at it as I use the resources God gave me, and He blessed me with a successful business right now. And it's kind of a tithe mentality. It's like, okay, wow, I hit my goal double this month. So it's like, let's give a little bit back to the community and I'll keep an eye open. So if I see these nonprofits that are like, hey, this is our budget, this is what we need. And I'll say, tell me your hopes and dreams. What's the best we can do here? And they're like, oh, we can't afford the best. I'm like, that's not what I asked. So they say, oh, if I had a blank check, this is what I would do. I'm like, your wish is granted. And I want them to be comfortable, successful, and not spend their money on furniture, spend their money on the resources that they're using to impact our community. And I think that's kind of the mentality I take to, approaching nonprofits with my business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And baked into what you said and what we said earlier was that there's a lot of ways people can help. People that have capital can say, I can donate money. Mm-hmm. People that have other resources, and just back to what you said about just showing up.
Yeah.
That's not just for Catalyst. That's life.
Yeah.
Just showing up and helping. It's contagious.
Mm-hmm.
Good things are contagious too, and they get momentum.
Yeah.
And so I think it's awesome. You're involved in a lot. I'll tell you, you've motivated me, because when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I need to get out and be a little bit more. That's one of the things I hope that this does.
Yeah.
This allredding is, I wanted more positivity. Even though we were just talking about homeless, I hope that people pick up that, but we're talking about it and there is a solution.
Yeah.
We're not just complaining. Part of being positive isn't like being Pollyanna, right? Like, oh, there's no problems, but it's not fixating on the problem. It's like, what is the problem? Can we define it properly? Why? Because that's our best chance at coming up with a real solution.
Right.
We kind of, otherwise you're just trying to get lucky to solve it. You kind of know it. But then shift to, okay, what can we do? And a real important word in there is we.
Yeah.
This is a community. You said something earlier. I can't remember. I think it was somebody instilled in you that community really matters, and working in the community and being a part, like these things need to be community led, right? It can't just be one or two people having to bear all the load. We need to come together.
Yep. I like to join arms with those that are giving back to our community, and take notes and see how they're doing it. See if I can do the same thing, if not better. So,
and I'm an unabashed capitalist in that I think small business built America. I do, and it's small business. It's not going to be, with a lot of people think like, no, the government's. It's like the government gets their money from somewhere. No, you know what I mean. So you have to realize it's you need step one is the small business.
Yeah,
and I think that's what it means to teach someone to fish. I think someone running a business, starting a business is so. I think what you're doing is awesome, and I'm glad we met. And I hope you had a good time. And
definitely.
I'm going to take you up on your offer.
Come check out the farm.
You remembered your offer.
We have baby goats coming in the spring, so maybe come by in springtime.
Oh, so and where is your business located? Because I imagine you don't want people just showing up your house. Probably should reach out to your business and coordinate this.
And it's on Airport Road. It's between Burrito Bandito and Dutch Bros on the.
And the name is
Caliber Office Furniture.
Caliber Office Furniture. Yeah. Chris, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.